Hey everybody, John here. This is the Blue Water Outlook Ag Weather Briefing for the 29th of June 2024. We've continued a lot of action weather across the Midwest right through the month of June. The question is, will that continue into July? Will this heat continue? I'll be talking about that in today's weekly weather briefing. Well, first off, let's take a look at the action spots around the nation. You know, that really hot weather, it's been in the Midwest and it's shifted to the east. It has shifted into the southeast and south at the current time. But take a look last week at all the spots that made it above 95 degrees. That's anything in this darker shade of brown. And these areas in orange here that made it into the 100-degree range. Not so bad in parts of the Midwest. Yellow here, that 90 to 95, and green only in the 80s. And that's sort of the, I guess what I'll be talking about is how parts of the upper Midwest look like it could be pretty nice weather. You know, we've also had a lot of derechos or windstorms, and these typically develop as hailstorms. That's the pink. They develop into windstorms. That's the yellow. I'm going to put a post together on that and talk about that a bit. So for now, let's just say it's been pretty active still, even in late June with severe weather. Now, there's been so much talk about heat. I want to also say it has been cold in spots. The northern Rockies, Montana, this was last Wednesday, 29 degrees, while Death Valley was 120. Now, many communities have been hit with devastating floods. We had that very heavy rain along the North Dakota, Minnesota, Iowa, Nebraska border a couple weeks ago. And the flows are still coming down. Purple are the communities being hit the hardest with major flooding, and red being moderate flooding. And it is attenuating. The flows are attenuating as they come downstream, generally south of St. Louis or Cape Girardeau. They are going to remain within their banks, but they're still running quite high in many communities, producing a lot of damage. When it gets into major flooding, that's purple. That's secondary roads and structures and such being impacted. Now, last week we had more rain didn't overlap the area of the heavy rain, but it still was in the upper Mississippi River Basin. So all that water is getting into the Mississippi, and that's prolonging the high flows. Anything in yellow was 2 to 3 inches, and that shade in there, that's 3 to 4. So we're most likely having some problems with wet fields in many areas of the Midwest right now due to these areas of heavy rain. As far as temperatures go last week, most of the Midwest ag region was above normal. Matter of fact, most of the nation was above normal. Those areas in red, that's 6 to 10 degrees above normal. Areas in green, those were the only spots cooler than normal. Dew points are summertime 70s in many areas. There's a dividing line right here with the drier air up to the north and muggy air to the south. And that dry air and cooler air is pushing eastward, so there'll be a little bit of a break in the heat as we go through the weekend into early in the week. The reason why is this system right here. It's a dip in the upper jet stream. We have some energy moving through, and that is going to bring a bit of cooler and drier air. We do see these coming through during the summer from time to time. And late in the week, we still have a dip in the jet stream here. So if you're going to be under that dip in the jet stream, there is going to be some cooler air ahead. So let's take a look at the temperatures, and you can see the next 5 days. Look at that cooler air in the upper Midwest. That's going to be some real pleasant weather, and that actually extends right through the 4th of July, maybe even the first week of July. Look at that area of blue. Couple notes. First of all, it's common to get these type of backdoor cold fronts or cooler air, pleasant midsummer reprieves in this area. But I'm also very intrigued, I've talked about this before, is how from a climate pattern or climate signal, the whole globe can be hot, or most of it, and then we see this little pattern here. This corresponds also with colder than normal weather in winter. So I find that interesting. And then as we go into the second week in July, we still see sort of a reprieve in hot temperatures in this area, and around it back to summertime hot weather. So that's temperature. I think the story to take with you there is this summer reprieve over the upper Midwest as we go through the week. Let's talk about rain. Well, with that system, it looks like another wet week in spots. And I'm going to focus on that, looking at a post this week where this rain has fallen. But again, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa, parts of Missouri, Illinois, it looks like we could have an inch. And in some spots, 3 inches or more. So definitely ample rain once again over large areas. Okay, so let's shift down towards the tropics because the forecast was for an active season and pretty early to get this much action, and it's really firing up. We have a system possibly developing in the Gulf. We have some other systems in the Atlantic, and then we have Tropical Storm Beryl, and all the models show a very tight packing right in here. That gives us a high confidence. It'll be way late into next week before we start to be able to determine what that'll do out there, but I'll be watching it all week. Okay, and finally to end the briefing, let's take a look at week 2, and here you go. Looks like we might quiet down on this active wet period in week 2 with temperatures above normal. Hey, I wish you and your family have a great and safe 4th of July. I will be talking with you again next weekend. Take care.